I'm serious, I told her. Those animated kids' movies are made for adults who pretend they're taking their nieces and nephews. Half the theater is parents getting emotionally ambushed by talking animals. Hannah pointed her fork at me. You have no idea. I watched one with Max last month where a cartoon raccoon had a better character arc than most men I've dated. That feels targeted. It was not, she said, then gave me a look. Unless it applies. I liked that about her right away. She was quick, but not mean. Pretty, but not polished in that stiff way where every sentence feels rehearsed. She had brown hair pulled back loose at the neck, tired eyes that still somehow looked warm, and the calm posture of someone who had already handled 3 problems before breakfast and did not need applause for it. My sister had set us up because, according to her, I had started acting like a widower in a documentary about lawn maintenance. I was 37, divorced, and a physical therapist. My life worked. That was the easiest way to explain it. I had a townhome that stayed clean, a job where people trusted me, a regular grocery list, and a habit of going home alone without making it sound sad. After my marriage ended, I got careful. Not cold exactly, just careful around anything that could reach the parts of me I had finally gotten quiet. Hannah was 34, a pediatric nurse, and a single mother of 2. Ava was 8. Max was 6. She told me that before the appetizers came, not like a warning, not like a confession, just as a fact. I always say it early, she said. Saves everyone time. I nodded. Fair. You're supposed to look slightly startled and then say you love kids. I like kids, I said. I don't know if I'm allowed to claim love as a general category. That feels like something that can be tested in a public place. She smiled. That is the most honest answer I've gotten in months. We talked about work. Her stories were better than mine because children in hospitals apparently had no respect for adult dignity. I told her about a college basketball player who tried to convince me he was ready to return to practice because he could almost walk normal if nobody looked too hard. She told me about a 4-year-old who asked if her stethoscope could hear lies. Could it? I asked. Only from doctors. That got me. I laughed into my water. There was no big sparkly moment. No music swelling. No feeling like my whole life had changed because she smiled at me under a hanging light. It was better than that. It was easy. Easy in a way I had forgotten 2 adults could be when they were not interviewing each other for future damage. We talked about dating after divorce, but not in a heavy way. She said she hated how every app conversation felt like filling out a form at the DMV. I told her I had not been on a serious date in almost a year. By choice? She asked. Mostly fear disguised as maturity. She tapped her glass with one fingernail. That's honest too. What about you? She looked down at her plate, then back at me. I date sometimes. Then my real life shows up, and men remember they enjoy free weekends. She said it lightly, but not light enough to hide the truth under it. Before I could answer, her phone lit up beside her napkin. She glanced at it, and I saw the whole night change in her face. Not dramatically. Hannah did not gasp or make a scene. Her smile just stopped. Her shoulders tightened. She picked up the phone, read the message, then read it again like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something easier. Everything okay? I asked. She closed her eyes for half a second. It's the babysitter. I waited. Max woke up upset. Ava tried to calm him down, which is sweet, except Ava's version of calming someone down is giving instructions like she's managing a restaurant kitchen. Hannah started reaching for her purse. Now Max is more upset. Ava is offended. And the sitter says the whole house is kind of falling apart. She tried to laugh, but it came out thin. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I'm so sorry. This was actually going well, and now I'm doing that thing where I prove why dating me is complicated before dessert. Hey, I said, you don't have to apologize. I do though. You got dressed and came out for dinner, not a front row seat to my bedtime chaos. I watched her slide her phone into her purse with a kind of practiced embarrassment, like she had been here before, like she already knew the next part. The man across from her would smile politely, say no problem, maybe text later, then slowly become harder to reach. Hannah, I said. She looked up. Having children is not a cautionary tale. For a second, she did not move. The restaurant noise kept going around us. Forks tapping plates. A server laughing near the kitchen. Someone at the next table asking about gluten. But Hannah just looked at me like I had spoken in a language she had not heard in a long time. Then she swallowed and nodded once. That's a very nice thing to say. I mean it. I know, she said softer. That's the problem. I paid the check because she was already distracted, and she let me probably because she was too tired to argue. Outside, the air was warm and damp, the kind of Raleigh evening where the pavement still holds the day. She said she had come straight from work and taken a rideshare because parking downtown annoyed her. I can drive you, I said. You don't have to do that. I know. She studied me under the restaurant awning. Are you always this calm? No. I once lost my mind over a printer jam at work. That got a real smile from her, small but there. In the car, she gave me the simple version of her life. Divorced 4 years, 2 kids. Her ex had moved to Denver with his new wife and had become, as Hannah put it, creative with his availability. I try not to talk about him on first dates, she said, watching the dark streets pass outside the window. It makes me sound bitter. You don't sound bitter. I am a little bitter. That seems allowed. She turned her head toward me, and this time her smile looked tired in a different way, less guarded. We drove through quiet neighborhoods with porch lights glowing and basketball hoops leaning over driveways. She gave directions in short sentences, still checking her phone every minute. I did not fill the silence too much. I had learned in my job that sometimes the best thing you could do for someone was not rush to make them feel better. Sometimes you just stayed steady while they breathed. When we pulled up outside her townhouse, the porch light was already on. Hannah sat still for 1 extra second, hand on the door handle, looking at the bright window beside the front door. Then she let out a breath and said, "Well, welcome to the real version." Hannah unlocked the front door like she was trying not to wake the house, which would have made sense if the house had not already sounded fully awake. The second the door opened, a small boy in green dinosaur pajamas came running across the living room. "Mom!" He hit her legs so hard she had to grab the doorframe to keep her balance. Hannah dropped her purse and bent down, wrapping both arms around him. "I'm here, buddy. I'm here." "You were gone," he cried into her dress. "I thought you weren't coming back till morning." "Oh, Max." Her voice changed completely. The sharp, funny woman from dinner was still there, but now she was under something softer and stronger. "I told you I'd be back after bedtime. I always come back." Max shook his head against her. "But it was dark." "It was dark because it's nighttime, silly boy. That's not funny." "You're right. Not funny." She kissed the top of his head. "I'm sorry." I stayed on the porch side of the doorway, one hand still near the frame, because walking in like I belonged felt wrong. The living room had the usual kid evidence everywhere. A blanket half off the couch. One sneaker near the hallway. A plastic dinosaur on the coffee table next to a stack of folded towels. The TV was paused on some bright cartoon scene, and every lamp in the room seemed to be on. Then I noticed the girl. Ava stood near the couch with her arms folded tight across her chest. She had Hannah's eyes, but none of Hannah's welcome in them. She looked at me once, from my shoes to my face, and I could almost hear the little door shutting in her mind. New man. Late. At the door. After bedtime. Fair enough. Hannah followed Ava's gaze and stiffened. For a second, she looked embarrassed, then protective, then embarrassed about being embarrassed. "Ava," she said gently. "This is Alex." Ava did not answer. Max pulled his face out of Hannah's side and looked at me with wet cheeks. "Who are you?" "I'm Alex," I said. He frowned. "Why?" I almost laughed, but Ava's face warned me not to make the wrong move. "That's just my name," I said. "I didn't pick it." Max stared at me like this was suspicious information. Hannah looked back at me, her hand still rubbing circles on Max's back. Her voice dropped so the kids would not hear, though Ava clearly heard everything. You can leave if my kids are too much. Right in the comments, was Hannah right to give me a way out that early? Or should she have trusted that her kids were not too much for the right man? There it was. She said it like she was giving me permission, but it did not feel like permission. It felt like a door she had been forced to hold open too many times. Like she was saying, go now if this is where you were headed anyway. Go before Max remembers your name. Go before Ava has one more reason to be right. I looked at Max clinging to her dress. Then at Ava pretending she did not care. Then back at Hannah. I'm not going anywhere unless you ask me to. Her face changed, but only a little. She did not smile. She looked almost worried that she wanted to. I crouched near the doorway, keeping one foot outside so nobody had to decide what I was yet. Hi, Max, I said. Hi, Ava. Max rubbed his nose with his sleeve. Were you on a date with Mom? Max, Ava snapped. You're not supposed to ask that. But he was. I glanced at Hannah. She covered her mouth, but I could see her trying not to laugh. I was Hannah's dinner friend, I said. Ava's eyebrows lifted. That's fake. Max nodded hard. That sounds fake. It does sound fake, I admitted. Ava looked at her mother. Why is he still outside? Because he's being polite, Hannah said. Ava looked back at me. Or scared. Also possible, I said. That got the smallest reaction from her. Not a smile. More like she had almost approved of the answer and was annoyed about it. The babysitter came out from the hallway holding her backpack against her chest. She was maybe 17, with a worried face and her hair in a messy bun. I'm so sorry, Ms. Williams, she said. He just woke up crying, and then Ava tried to help, and then they both started talking at the same time. I know. It's okay, Madison. Hannah stood, keeping one hand on Max's shoulder. You did the right thing texting me. I feel bad. Don't. You stayed calm. Hannah paid her, asked if her mom was outside, checked twice that she had a ride, and told her to text when she got home. I noticed that, even with her own kids upset and me standing there like an extra problem in the doorway, Hannah still made sure the babysitter did not leave feeling like she had failed. When Madison left, Max started crying again. Quieter this time, but more tired. Those cries are harder. The ones that come when a kid has already used up the loud part and now just does not know how to stop. Hannah knelt in front of him. Baby, breathe. I can't. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Ava stood on the bottom stair now, still watching me. He does this when he gets worked up. I do not, Max said through tears. You literally are doing it. Ava, Hannah warned. I stayed quiet. Not because I had some perfect plan. I didn't. I worked with people in pain all day, but adults at least pretended to follow directions. Kids were different. Kids could tell when you were performing. Hannah glanced at me, and there was a question in it. Not help me fix this. More like, are you still here? So I said, Max, can I try something? You don't have to do it if it's dumb. He looked at me suspiciously. Is it a shot? No. I'm a physical therapist, not a nurse. Your mom is the one with the scary equipment. Hannah gave me a look. Excuse me. Max sniffed. What's a physical therapist? Someone who helps people move when their bodies are being stubborn. My body is not stubborn. Good. Then this might be easy. I pointed into the room. Can you name 5 things in here that are definitely not scary? Max blinked. Ava said from the stairs, That's weird. Probably, I said. But weird is allowed. Max looked around, still hiccuping on little breaths. The couch. Good. Couch is not scary. The dinosaur. Very not scary. It has teeth. Okay. Medium scary, but on our side. He rubbed his face again. Lamp. Good. Mom. Hannah's face softened. I hope I'm not scary. Sometimes, Ava muttered. Hannah turned. Ava. What? You have a voice. Max pointed toward the coffee table. Cup. That's 5, I said. You only did 4, Ava said. I looked at her. I was hoping nobody noticed. I noticed. I can tell. Max's breathing had slowed. Not fully calm, but closer. Hannah sat beside him on the rug, and he leaned into her instead of gripping like she might disappear. From the stairs, Ava tilted her head at me. "Your hair is sticking up in the back." I reached up automatically. "Is it?" "Yes." "That's unfortunate." "It's not scary though," Max said. "Thank you. That means a lot." And for the first time since we got there, the room shifted. Just half an inch. The lights were still too bright. Max's cheeks were still wet. Ava still did not trust me, and Hannah still looked like she was holding the whole house together with both hands. But nobody was running. Then Hannah's phone buzzed on the small table by the door. She looked at the screen. The little bit of calm we had found went still in her face. Ava noticed before anyone else. "What?" she asked. Hannah did not answer right away. Max sat up. "Mom?" I stayed where I was, but I already understood. Whatever that message said, it was not going to make the night easier. Hannah stared at her phone like she was trying to keep the words from landing. I saw her thumb move once across the screen, then stop. She did not curse. She did not throw the phone. She did not even sigh in the big, dramatic way people do when they want someone to notice how much they are carrying. She just got very still. Ava took one step down from the stairs. "Is it Dad?" Hannah looked up fast. Not angry. More like she wished Ava had not already learned how to read a room that well. "Yeah," she said softly. Ava's arms folded again. "He canceled." Max sat up straighter on the rug. "No, he didn't." Hannah pressed her lips together for a second, then walked over and sat on the edge of the couch so she could face them both. "He said something came up," she said. "He can't take you this weekend. He says he'll call later." Max's face crumpled in a way that made me look down at the floor for a second. Not because I did not care, because it felt too private to watch straight on. "He promised," Max said. "I know, buddy." He said this time. "I know." Ava's jaw tightened. Something always comes up. Hannah reached for her, but Ava stepped back. Not far. Just enough to make a point. "Baby," Hannah said. "I'm not a baby." "I know." "No, you don't. You still talk to me like I don't know what he means." The room went quiet. That was when I understood the full shape of what I had walked into. This was not one canceled weekend. This was a pattern with toys and overnight bags and kids trying not to care too much because caring made the letdown bigger. I shifted back a little toward the doorway. It was instinct more than choice. This was their family, their pain, their moment. I did not want to stand in the middle of it like some stranger who thought a calm voice could fix years of disappointment. But Hannah saw me move. Her eyes flicked to my feet, then to my face, and for 1 second I could see what she thought. This is it. This is where he leaves. I shook my head once. Small. Just for her. Then I said the only useful thing I could think of. "I'm going to make hot chocolate." Everyone looked at me. Ava frowned. "What?" "I'm going to make hot chocolate," I repeated. "Because this feels like a hot chocolate emergency." Max sniffed hard. "With marshmallows?" "That depends on whether your house has marshmallows." "It does," he said immediately. Ava narrowed her eyes. "You don't know how we like it." "That's true," I said. "So I'll need supervision." Hannah looked like she might laugh and cry at the same time, but she did neither. She stood slowly. "Kitchen's this way." I followed her, still careful not to act too comfortable. The kitchen was small but warm, with school papers stuck to the fridge, a bowl of apples on the counter, and 2 lunchboxes waiting by the sink like they had given up on being unpacked. Hannah opened a cabinet. "Mugs are up there." I reached for them. "How many?" "4, Max said from behind me. I turned. He was standing in the kitchen doorway, blanket around his shoulders like a cape. Ava appeared behind him. "Not the blue mug. That's mine." Max pointed. "I want the snowman one." "It's May," Ava said. "So?" I took down the snowman mug and set it on the counter. Seasonal rules seem flexible tonight. Ava stepped into the kitchen, still watching me like I might accidentally break the family system. "Mom makes it with milk, not water." "Milk is better," I said. And not too hot. Important. And Max gets fewer marshmallows because he always drops one and then wants a replacement. That happened one time, Max said. It happened yesterday. That was one time yesterday. Hannah warmed the milk in a small pot while I found cocoa mix in the pantry. I tried one cabinet for marshmallows and found cereal. Tried another and found paper plates. Ava watched this with clear disappointment. Top shelf, left side, she said. Thank you, supervisor. I'm not helping you. I'm preventing damage. Still useful. She pulled out a chair at the kitchen table and sat with her knees tucked under her, pretending she had no interest in the process while tracking every scoop. Max climbed into the chair beside her. His crying had slowed to the occasional shaky breath. Hannah stirred the milk, and I could see her hands were steady, but her face was not. She was looking at her kids like she wanted to absorb the hurt for them and was furious that she could not. I set the mugs out. Ava counted marshmallows. 6 for me. 6 for Max. Mom gets 5 because she says she doesn't care and then steals one. Alex gets 4 because he's new. That seems fair, I said. Max looked at me. You can have 5. Ava turned to him. Why? Because he said dinosaur was medium scary but on our side. Ava considered that. Fine. 5. Big night for me, I said. Hannah poured the hot chocolate, and for a few minutes the whole house became smaller. Not fixed. Not happy exactly, but manageable. For mugs. A sticky bag of marshmallows. Ava judging the distribution like a bank auditor. Max blowing across the top of his drink with both hands around the snowman mug. We sat at the table. I made sure Hannah sat closest to the kids. I took the chair near the edge, the easy one to leave from, because I wanted Ava to see I was not trapping anyone into pretending I belonged. Max stared into his mug. Does Dad not like us? Hannah's face tightened. No, buddy. That's not what this means. But he doesn't come. I know. If you like somebody, you come. Ava looked down at the table. Maybe he likes his new family more. Hannah closed her eyes for 1 second. When she opened them, she reached across and put her hand near Ava's. Not on it. I'm sorry he makes you feel that way, she said. You and Max are not less important because grown-ups make bad choices. Ava did not move her hand away. She did not take Hannah's either. She just let it stay near hers. I kept my mouth shut. That might sound simple, but it took effort. There is a kind of discomfort that makes people talk just to escape it. I felt that urge. I wanted to say something clean and useful. I wanted to tell Max his dad loved him in his own way, or tell Ava adults were complicated, or offer some neat little line that would make the table less heavy. But it was not my place. And more than that, those kids did not need a stranger selling them comfort he could not prove. Then Ava looked at me. Her eyes were sharp, but tired too. Do grown-ups just get to leave when stuff is hard? Hannah went still beside her. Max looked at me too, cheeks flushed above his mug. I took a breath. Some grown-ups do. Ava's face hardened like she had expected that answer and hated being right. But they shouldn't, I said. She watched me. I don't think people should walk away just because someone needs them, I continued. That doesn't mean I know how to do everything right. I don't. I mess things up like everybody else. But I think if something changes, you say it. You don't just disappear and leave people guessing what they did wrong. Ava looked down at her marshmallows. One had melted into a white smear across the top. So you always come back? She asked. I was careful then. More careful than I had been all night. I try very hard to, I said. And if I can't, I tell people. I don't make them wonder. She did not smile. She did not suddenly trust me. This was not that kind of moment. But her shoulders dropped a little. Max took a sip and got chocolate on his upper lip. Are you coming back? Max, Hannah said quietly. What? Ava asked first. I looked at Hannah. She looked tired, embarrassed, grateful, and scared of all three. I'd like to, I said. If your mom wants that. Max turned to Hannah. Do you? The question landed harder than he knew. Hannah looked at me across the table, then at Ava, then at Max. I think I do. Ava pushed one marshmallow under the surface with her spoon. That's not a yes. No, Hannah said softly. But it's close. That answer seemed to satisfy Max more than Ava. He finished half his mug, then yawned so wide I thought he might fall asleep at the table. Hannah stood. Okay, bed. For real this time. There was some protest, but not much. Max let Hannah guide him toward the stairs, dragging his blanket behind him. Ava carried her mug to the sink without being asked. At the doorway, she paused and looked back at me. If you come back, she said, don't bring weird cocoa. I'll take notes. Mom likes cinnamon. Hannah turned from the stairs. Ava. What? He needs accurate information. Then she went upstairs after her brother. I heard bathroom water run. A drawer open. Max asked something I could not make out. Hannah's voice answered, low and patient. Ava said something with that older sister edge, and Max argued back, but softer now. I stood in the kitchen and rinsed the mugs because doing nothing felt worse. When Hannah came back down, her shoes were off, her hair was looser, and the woman from the restaurant looked both closer and farther away. She stopped in the doorway and looked at me standing at her sink. For the first time all night, the house was quiet. Not peaceful exactly, but quiet. And Hannah looked like she did not know what to do with a man who had stayed long enough to see it. Hannah stood in the kitchen doorway, looking at me like she had found me in the wrong room of her life. I had rinsed the mugs and stacked them beside the sink. One marshmallow was stuck to the table, flattened into a little white circle, and I had decided not to touch it because I did not know the rules of the house well enough yet. Some things looked like messes and were actually evidence. You don't have to clean, she said. I know. You keep saying that. It keeps being true. She stepped into the kitchen, arms wrapped around herself now that there were no kids hanging from them. The house had that after-bedtime quiet, but not the peaceful kind people imagine. More like everyone had finally stopped moving because they had run out of energy. Hannah leaned back against the counter across from me. I'm sorry. You already said that. I'm probably going to say it again. You don't need to. She looked toward the stairs, then back at me. This was supposed to be one date. Dinner, maybe dessert, maybe a polite text tomorrow where we both pretended to be more casual than we were. She laughed once, but it sounded tired. Not backpacks by the door, night fears, custody schedules, and my ex ruining hot chocolate. The hot chocolate survived. Alex. I set the towel down. I liked dinner. Her face softened, but she looked guarded too, like she was bracing for the word but. And this part helped me understand you, I said. She looked down at the floor. I saw you stay, I said. With Max. With Ava. With the sitter. With all of it. You didn't make it pretty. You didn't make it about you. You just stayed. Her eyes lifted to mine. That's what you noticed? Yeah. For a second, she looked like she might cry, and then she blinked it away so fast I almost doubted I had seen it. I'm tired of being admired from a distance, she said quietly. That's the thing I never know how to explain. Men like me at dinner. They like the calm nurse who can make jokes and split appetizers and act like she isn't checking the time every 12 minutes. They like the idea of me. She swallowed. Then they see the backpacks. The weekend calendar. The kid who wakes up scared. The daughter who asks questions like a lawyer because she's learned adults make promises they don't keep. I stayed quiet. And then I become too much, she said. Not all at once. They don't say it. They just get busy. They stop asking when I'm free. They say they understand, but they don't want to be close enough to actually understand. I wanted to step toward her, but I didn't. I could feel how easy it would be to turn the moment into something big because it was tender. But big promises would have been cheap right then. She had already heard enough promises from men who liked how they sounded. I'm not asking to be inserted into your family after one date, I said. Her shoulders dropped a little. I'm not asking your kids to trust me tomorrow. Ava definitely won't. That got the smallest smile out of her. No, she will not. And Max might trust me too fast, which is its own thing. She nodded because she knew exactly what I meant. I'm asking for a second date, I said. That's all. And if that goes well, maybe a third. Slowly. Honestly. Hannah stared at me for a long second. You make it sound simple. It's probably not. No, she said. It's not. But simple and easy aren't the same thing. She let out a breath, and this time it sounded like something in her had finally unclenched. At the front door, she walked me out instead of letting me find my own way. The porch light made her face look softer, and the night air had cooled enough that I could hear the low buzz of insects from the little strip of grass by the walkway. She crossed her arms again, but this time it was against the evening chill. I don't want you to confuse tonight with romance, she said. Sometimes chaos makes people feel close for 5 minutes. I'm not confused. No. I looked back through the front window, where one of the living room lamps was still on. I liked you at dinner because it was easy. I like you now because it wasn't, and you were still the person I wanted to stay with. Her face changed then. No big dramatic smile, just something careful giving way. She stepped closer and kissed me. It was brief, soft, nothing rushed. Her hand rested against my chest for half a second, like she was making sure I was real and not just another decent sentence on a hard night. When she pulled back, she looked embarrassed. I don't usually kiss men after they meet my kids during a household meltdown, she said. Good. I'd hate to be part of a pattern. She laughed quietly, and that was the sound I drove home with. The next Saturday, I came back with cinnamon rolls. Not a dozen roses. Not some oversized gesture that made things awkward. Just cinnamon rolls from a bakery near my clinic because Max had mentioned them once while talking about school breakfast, and Ava had told me her mom liked cinnamon. Hannah opened the door in jeans and a gray sweatshirt, hair in a messy knot, and looked at the box in my hand. You remembered? I take accurate information seriously. Max came running from the hallway. Are those cinnamon rolls? They are. For us? That was the idea. Ava appeared behind him, slower. How did you know? Good memory. She looked at the box, then at me. Suspicious. Fair. But useful, she added, and took the bakery box from my hand like she was accepting evidence. That became the way it went, little by little. Not clean. Not fast. Not like a movie where the kids decide I'm safe because I show up with pastries and know how to fix a bike tire. Ava tested everything. If I said I would come by at 6, she checked the clock at 5:59. If I brought coffee for Hannah after school drop-off, Ava asked if I knew her order or guessed. If I said I liked a board game, Ava made me play and then accused me of pretending to lose. I don't pretend to lose, I told her one night. You're just bad. At this game, apparently. Max warmed faster. Too fast sometimes. He'd ask me to sit beside him during movies, hand me toy dinosaurs without explaining their names, and once asked if I could come to his school breakfast thing because Mom has to work and Dad is in Denver. Hannah looked at me with panic in her eyes, not because she did not want me there, but because she did not want Max building a bridge too quickly. So I learned to move carefully. Coffee after drop-off when Hannah had 20 minutes. Dinner when her mother could watch the kids. Short walks after bedtime where we stayed close to the house in case Max woke up. Holding hands in the driveway like teenagers because inside there were lunches to pack and permission slips to sign. One evening, Ava sat on the porch step while Hannah went back inside for her keys. You always come back when you say you will? She asked. The question sounded casual, but nothing about Ava was casual. I try very hard to, I said. That's what you said before. I meant it before. And if you can't? I tell people. I don't disappear. She stared out at the street. Good, because Max notices everything. I know. So does Mom. I know that too. She nodded once like the meeting was over. Months passed that way. Small promise after small promise. Some I kept easily. Some took work. I missed dinner once because a patient had a bad fall at the clinic. And before I even got in the car, I called Hannah, then asked to talk to Ava and Max. Ava got on the phone and said, "At least you called." Like she was annoyed that I had passed the test. The first time Max fell asleep against my side during a movie, I did not move for almost an hour. My shoulder went stiff, and Hannah kept smiling at me from the other end of the couch. He's heavy, she whispered. I've treated worse injuries. Do not compare my son to an injury. He's more like a weighted blanket with elbows. She covered her mouth to keep from laughing and waking him. Ava took longer. Then one afternoon she handed me a drawing while Hannah was upstairs folding laundry. For people stood outside a house under a bright blue sky. Hannah had long hair. Max had dinosaur spikes for some reason. Ava had drawn herself with crossed arms. The fourth person was me. I looked at it, then at her. Don't get weird, she said. I won't. You're getting weird already. I'm trying not to. She rolled her eyes, but she did not take the drawing back. Much later, when Hannah and I decided to move in together, we did it like people carrying something breakable. There were house meetings. There were lists. There were questions. Ava wrote rules on notebook paper and taped them to the fridge before I brought over a single box. Rule 1. Knock before entering bedrooms. Rule 2. Do not move anyone's stuff without asking. Rule 3. Friday movie night rotation is legally binding. Rule 4. If you say you will be there, be there. At the bottom she had written, Alex must sign. So I did. Full name, Alex Booker. Right under her sharp little handwriting. Max added a dinosaur sticker beside it, which Ava said made the document less professional. By then, Hannah had stopped looking surprised every time something good stayed. Not completely. Some evenings, she still watched me from across the kitchen like she was checking whether I had one foot out the door. But then I would ask where the lunch containers were, or Max would call my name from the living room, or Ava would remind me I had violated the sock basket system, and Hannah's face would settle. The real beginning was not that restaurant in Raleigh, even though I still remember the light on her face and the way she laughed about cartoon raccoons. The real beginning was her kitchen. For mugs on the table. Marshmallows counted like evidence. Max in dinosaur pajamas, scared his mother would not come back. Ava watching me like she had already learned the world was full of exits. Hannah standing there afraid her children were too much. And me finally understanding that they were not too much at all. They were the door into her real life. And for once in mine, I did not want the easy way out.